This is The Bracketologists, your home for March Madness coverage, presented by Anchor.
Tensions are getting high as we head into the final weekend of the regular season. How's it going, guys? I'm Brandon Matula, and this is The Bracketologists, your home for March Madness coverage. Tommy couldn't be with us today, so this episode will be a little shorter than usual, but don't worry, we will have the same amount of content as usual. Today, we'll go over some big games from this week and predict bracket movements based on the results. Will then turn to focus on this weekend, as this is the last weekend of the regular season, for the big conferences, rather. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'll make score predictions and highlight the bracket implications of each game. And then I'll conclude with a team to watch this weekend. Again, this is not necessarily a team that's hot right now, but more so to gauge use this weekend as a gauge to see how they'll fare in the tournament. And most of y'all will be surprised by the team I select. Stay tuned at the end for some announcements, but for now, let's get this show on the road. It's been a pretty big week of upsets once again. Since we last talked on Tuesday, a lot has happened since then. Just for starters, the Houston Cougars clinched their American Athletic regular season title, so that ensures that they will be in. They're currently slated at a 5 seed on Joe Lunardi's bracket for now, but looking elsewhere, a lot of big matchups this week as well. It's been a very entertaining week in college basketball. We'll start with Providence and Villanova. Providence ranked 9, Villanova ranked 11, fighting for that Big East title, regular season title rather, and this was a very, very close game. Villanova ended up pulling it out at home. They were up by 14 at halftime, and you got to give a shout-out to Caleb Daniels. Just incredible job, 6 for 11 shooting, 6 of 6 free throws. I mean, that is the kind of numbers you like to see if you're a fan of your college basketball team heading into March. Hitting 6 for 6 on free throws is incredible, and if he can keep that up, the Villanova team, forgot their team nickname, my apologies, but they should be good to go in the month of March. They're looking pretty solid right now. They are currently at the top of the Big East currently. So a lot to look forward to for Villanova. They're pretty much waiting on Providence to lose another game, but they could easily take the regular season title. If not, they'll try to take that conference title. We'll then turn our attention to Kansas and TCU. Boy, was this a shocker for me, because TCU really got my attention this past weekend. They beat Texas Tech at home. And I was like, you know what? That is a solid win. Good for TCU. And that further solidifies their spot in the tournament, and they'll be a team to watch for sure in the tournament. But then they go back and they beat Kansas by 10 at home. And this game did two things for me. One, it upped my confidence in TCU, and two, it really made me less confident in Kansas. That is 2 straight losses for Kansas in the state of Texas, and they're currently slated to possibly play a regional in Fort Worth, just a few streets down of where they played against TCU. So I don't like Kansas's chances right now, being 0-2 in the month, 0-1 so far in the month of March. But man, definitely keep an eye on the Jayhawks. But for TCU, they are currently slated to be a 9 seed right now. They went up from the week before. They were at a 10 seed, but I expect them to go up again. Boise State is currently at the 8 seed. They would, if that tournament started today, according to Joe Lunardi, TCU would be playing Boise State at the 8 seed. I would put TCU possibly at 8 seed there. I mean, that is 2 incredible wins over 2 really hot teams right now. And man, watch out. TCU might make a run at the Big 12 championship tournament in Kansas City. We'll have to see how that goes, but they got to match up against Kansas to finish out the season on the road. So let's see if the Jayhawks can get revenge. We had a big Big Ten matchup between Purdue at number 8 and Wisconsin at number 10. Wisconsin took the regular season title for the Big Ten. That is huge for them. They really started out hot at the beginning of the season. They won the Maui tournament, and that is just a really highly esteemed tournament in college basketball. So if you win that at the beginning of the season, you should be in good shape. And then they kind of struggled in January and February, but they really seem to be finding their own here in March and beating Purdue at home. I know Purdue's coming off a loss, but this Purdue Boilermakers team is something different from last year. They lost to North Texas last year early in the tournament, but I don't think that's going to happen to them this year. And they ended up losing to Wisconsin. So that just shows even more so that the Badgers are legit. They take the regular season title. Wisconsin currently is at a 3 seed. I expect that to go up with them being Big Ten champions. It's a competitive conference this year. Definitely be looking for them. And then as for Purdue, they're currently slated at a 2 seed. So if I'm Joe Lunardi, I might flip-flop these just because, I know it's by one shot, but man, these are the type of games that are going to tell you who's supposed to be where. And Wisconsin and Purdue really just did Joe Lunardi's job for him. So, it's looking really great in the Big Ten. I'll definitely be watching those guys, and y'all should be too. Arizona had a really big response against USC, beating them by 20. USC had a pretty good weekend after beating Oregon. But, man, a loss like this, I know it's the number 2 you're losing to the number 2 team, but you can't be losing like that in March to anybody, really. If it's by 10, you could take that, but, man, that's just no bueno. You can't do that. They're currently slated at a 6 seed. I expect them to stay there. They did lose to the 2 seed. Wildcats, currently the Wildcats are the Midwest, are slated to be in the Midwest as an automatic qualifier. So they're expected to take the Pac-12, and the Wildcats are really looking good now. They didn't look good last week after their loss, but, man, my confidence is back with the Wildcats. They haven't made the Final Four, I believe, since Richard Jefferson was on the team. So, man, it's going to be a historical year for sure. Let's check out what happened on Wednesday. Texas A&M beat Alabama. Texas A&M is nowhere to be found on Joe Lunardi's bracket. So, their only hope is using this momentum to possibly win the SEC tournament, but I don't see that happening. But for Alabama, they're slated to be in this tournament. They're at a 5 seed right now. And with a loss like this at home, man, this is going to really hurt them. I expect them to end up being a 7 seed because I don't have high confidence in them entering the SEC tournament next week. Along with that, Auburn went into overtime against Mississippi State, ended up winning by 13. So that just tells me man, Auburn is still struggling. I know they won by 13, but you can't do that. Yes, you were on the road, but you can't be having this close games against teams that you should be beating. Mississippi State not slated to be a tournament team this year. So Auburn, you got to get your act up. Auburn is currently, looking at it here, currently a 2 seed. They were the highest overall seed a few weeks back, and now they're down to a 2 seed. Could fall down further. We'll have to see what happens, but I hope not for their sake because I've really liked watching them this year. UConn had a big week last week after beating Villanova, I believe. And they go to Creighton this week, and they end up losing. So they kind of lose their heat there. They were looking like they could possibly make a run, winning the Big East tournament. But now, I really don't know. We'll have to see. But for sure, they will be a tournament team. I'm excited to see UConn make a deep run again because we've always known UConn to be a higher seed and do a lot of damage as a higher seed. So we'll have to see what happens. But as for Creighton, I believe that they are an 11 seed this year. They're 20-9, so I expect their seed to go up a little bit higher as the weeks go on after a big win like this. I know it's close, but I mean, you beat UConn, the team that beat Villanova, who's currently, in my eyes, the best in the Big East. So that's definitely something to note. And last game that I'll go over, and then we'll hop into more of this weekend. LSU and Arkansas. Man, this was a good game. I'm really still surprised LSU is not in the AP top 25, but that's okay. They've had a lot of losses. I get it, but they've been losing to really good teams. They're currently slated at a 6 seed. This close game on the road against Arkansas, who's been really hot. You got to give credit where credit's due. LSU deserves a place in the tournament. There's not a doubt in my mind. And they can really shake things up in the SEC championship tournament, so be watching them. But as for Arkansas has been having a hard time as of late. They had those 2 huge wins. They had that win over Auburn. And looking at their schedule here, having this win over LSU, who's currently a tournament team, and then beating Kentucky at home. And so, yeah, they're not really struggling. So I don't know why I said that. I must have been thinking of another team. But I wouldn't even call this a game for concern for Arkansas. I'm a believer in Arkansas right now. They're getting hot right at the right time. They were a 3 seed last year, and I expect them to get closer to that. They're currently slated at a 5 seed. In my eyes, you got to put them at a 4 or a 3. That's where I would put them if I were in that position. But that is about it for games that stood out to me this week. Let us know what games y'all were interested in. We'll go ahead and head into this weekend. It's a big weekend. So first of all, the Ohio Valley tournament is starting this week, and it's looking like Murray State is already in the championship semifinal. So that's going on Friday. So keep your eye out for that. I really think Murray State's going to take this in the Ohio Valley. We'll break down conference championships more in depth on Tuesday or Monday's episode whenever we do it. But keep an eye out for that on Friday. But man, expect another crazy Saturday because we got a lot of big games to break down here. One that I'd like to note is Arkansas at Tennessee. Tennessee beat Auburn last weekend, and Arkansas beat Kentucky last weekend. So both of these teams are coming off of big, big wins. So in my eyes, man, this is going to be a really great game. Tennessee, currently slated. Tennessee is slated at a 3 seed right now. So you got to watch them. And then Arkansas is at a 5 seed. They're just fighting for seeds at this point and placement in their SEC tournament. So be watching this game. This game is going to be a lot of fun to watch because a lot of teams in the SEC are going to be fighting for those buys. Those are crucial in the month of March. It was pretty much what helped Baylor win last year. Yes, they didn't make it to the Big 12 championship, but that extra game of rest really helped them in their run. So getting a bye where you can really help you. So winning this game this weekend is going to be huge for either of these teams. I'm going to go with the home team, Tennessee. I think I'll take them 67-61. I like them at home. They get really loud there at Rocky Top. So that is what I'm going with. Alabama, after their loss, is heading to LSU, who just lost to Arkansas. So both of these teams are slated to be tournament teams. I got to go with the home team here. I mean, I haven't been happy with Alabama as of late. They had a really strong beginning of their season, but now, man, it's just not looking good. I mean, they lost big to Texas A&M, and I expect their seeding to go really low after this game against LSU. I think LSU will smack them. So I'll take LSU by 14. I'm going to take them 74-56. That's what I'm going to take there. From there, we got number 7 Kentucky visiting Florida. Florida, a team that really shocked everybody and beat Auburn. We're not sure yet if that's a testament to how good Auburn is or how good Florida is, but at the end of the day, they beat them. And they have a chance this weekend to do it again against number 7 Kentucky. So Man, this is tough, but I got to go with Kentucky. Kentucky in the month of March, you can't go wrong with them. That's just what you got to go with. I'm liking what Shibewe, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, Oscar. He's averaging 27 points per game against Florida, 2 assists, and 19 rebounds in their last matchup. So if he has a game like that again, man, I got to go with Kentucky. So I'm going to go with Kentucky winning close. I would say 72-65, high-scoring game in Florida. Looking more at the schedule, we got a big matchup between Texas and Kansas. I mean, Texas got close to beating Kansas. Seems recent, but Kansas is coming off of a loss against TCU. But I'm really not liking... Texas actually beat Kansas at home. So Kansas is looking for revenge against Texas. So it's been a long week for Kansas. Looking at their schedule, they play TCU tonight at home, and then they got Texas on Saturday. But expect it to be really loud at the Fog. I have high confidence in Kansas that they can get their act together before the tournament starts. They pretty much host the tournament. It's in Kansas City, just a few miles down the road from Lawrence, Kansas, where the campus of the Jayhawks are. So I got to go with Kansas here. I get it. They lost to TCU, but TCU's hot right now. That's a team that I really respect. Be watching Agbagi out of Kansas, 20 points per game, 49% shooting, 76% free throw percentage. So my confidence is in the Jayhawks in this one. So I'm going to take them winning this one possibly by 10. I'm going to go 65-55. A little bit lower scoring affair because we know those Jayhawks love to play good defense. Looking more in the Big 12, Baylor, number 3 in the country, had a big weekend last week. Let's see if they can keep up the momentum. They're playing a Iowa State team who's currently slated to be a 7 seed. And Baylor, as we know, is currently placed at a 2 seed, I believe. Actually, a 1 seed. So if I'm Baylor, this weekend's huge. And this big tournament coming up for them is huge. Because currently, they are slated to be in the South Regional, where the South Regional is going to be in San Antonio. But the first and second round are in Fort Worth. That is a really easy drive for those who live in Waco. And a lot of alumni live up north in the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth area. So Baylor, man, you got to... if I know they only have a 7-man rotation, and I highlighted that that's going to be something people need to watch for, but, man, I really, really like their chances if they play their first and second rounds in Fort Worth, and then they play in San Antonio, just a few miles down the road for them. Getting a lot of fans there, pretty much making it a home game. Kind of like the times where Kansas would host regionals in Kansas City. It's just helpful, how home court advantage is helpful, especially in the big tournament. So I'm going to go with Baylor here. This is too big of a game. It's going to be packed really loud again. So I'm going to go with the Bears winning this one by 5, 65-60. And then we got a battle in LA, USC versus UCLA. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited for this matchup. It's going to be fun. USC coming off of a tough loss to Arizona, so they need to bounce back. But UCLA, man, made that deep run last year. Both teams are looking great right now across the board. Maybe not as of late, but it's going to be a very big matchup coming up this weekend. They're currently tied for second in the current Pac-12 standing. So their tournament in Las Vegas, their placement and everything are just going to be really determined by this game. So, man, this is tough. I got to go with UCLA winning this one. You're playing at home. I know a lot of USC fans will be there, but it's home court for the players. So I'm going to go with UCLA here just to check their bracket standings. UCLA is currently placed at a 4 seed, while USC, as we mentioned earlier, is at a 6 seed. So not a lot of stakes here. It's just 1 seed stake here. Not even. Like, if it's 1-by-1 shot, I'm sure they'll keep the seedings at the same thing, according to Joe Lunardi. But still a good game to watch. It's a rivalry game, so be watching that. Let's move to Sunday. We didn't cover a lot of Sunday games last time. Houston at Memphis. This is going to be a big game. Memphis is really catching fire right now. According to Joe Lunardi's projections, they're one of the 4 last teams in. And if they can beat Houston at home, in my eyes, I think they can seal their destiny in the tournament. They can definitely make it to the tournament without a doubt if they beat Houston this Sunday. So it's going to be huge. It's going to be on CBS. Jim Nantz, his first game of the year. So it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'll be watching it. Be watching for Kyler Edwards. He was on a cold streak for a little bit for the Cougars, but he's really gotten back to his old self, averaging 14 on the season. Again, Houston's missing a lot of guards. Currently missing their guard in Marcus Sasser, who really did a number in the tournament last year, and Teron Mark, a very vital forward for that team. But Memphis is really getting back to their old selves. You got to hope if Amani Bates will be back soon. Not really sure on his status as of right now, but Jalen Duren, averaging 12 on the year. He was out for a little bit, but he's back, and he's back better than ever. So I'm going to go with the Memphis Tigers on this one. Just if history tells us anything, Memphis at home during the last week of the season, it's just going to be good, and it's going to make for some good basketball in the American Championship if Memphis ends up sweeping the Cougars on the year. But the Cougars have currently taken the American Championship. They won it on Tuesday, but be watching this game. This one's going to be huge. And then we'll turn our attention to Iowa and Illinois. Last game we'll cover this weekend. I forgot to give a score. I'll take Memphis winning this one by 2. 72-70. I think it'll be within 2 points. It could go either way, but I'm going to go with the Tigers since they're hosting this at FedEx Center. But back to Iowa and Illinois, 2 teams that are very evenly matched, rank-wise, height-wise, and just all-around skill. These are 2 schools that are really good. Be watching for Cockburn. Tommy loves Coffee Cockburn. He was talking about him in the first episodes, but man, this is going to be a good game for Illinois. Illinois looked more impressive earlier in the season, but man, they're not looking as good now, but they have a chance to really change that. Iowa is at a 7 seed, while Illinois is at a 4 seed currently. Really surprising that they're at a 4 seed at rank 20. I don't understand how that works, but we'll have to see how Illinois fares this week. They've had some success this season. They got a game tonight, actually, Thursday, tonight, against Penn State, so winning that is going to be huge. But I'm excited to see how this Big Ten matchup affair goes. I'm going to go with the home team, Illinois. I'm really rooting for them this year. I hope they kind of make up for what they were going to be last year. Kind of like a Virginia team. You know, how Virginia lost in the first round, while Illinois lost in the first round, and then really could have taken that regional because the best team that was in there was Houston. And if you put those 2 teams together, then I think it really could have gone Illinois' direction. So I'm going to go with Illinois winning this one, 57-54. Woo! That's a lot of games. So be watching those this weekend. And guys, don't watch these games just for entertainment. Of course, enjoy these games. But this Saturday is really going to gauge how these teams are going to fare in the tournament. So all the teams that I mentioned are pretty much in the tournament. It's just a matter of where. So be watching closely this weekend if you want to make your brackets really good this year. Last but not least, I'm going to be talking about a team that you need to watch this weekend. And drum roll, please. It is no other than the TCU Horned Frogs. I know this sounds crazy, but man, winning over Kansas and Texas Tech, I don't care if it's at home or away. It'd be more impressive if it was away. They actually play them tonight, Thursday, but gosh, like TCU is looking really, really good right now. And I'm not saying watch them in the Big 12 tournament because I expect them to have a pretty early exit. We'll have to see how that bracket format happens, but man, I have a good feeling about them. I think they're going to make some noise in this year's tournament and really make it far, possibly beating a 1 seed because they're currently slated at 8 or a 9 seed currently. And guys, like, it would not surprise me in the slightest if TCU can pull off an upset. Like, it really wouldn't. So be watching them. That is my team of the week. That pretty much wraps up our segment for today. I know, a little bit shorter than usual. It's tough without Tommy, but hey, we got through it. I got y'all the content that y'all need for this weekend. Things to be expecting in the coming weeks. As y'all know, this is the last regular season weekend, so our format's going to be changing up a little bit. Stay tuned on the exact episode date for the recap. We'll recap the games from this weekend, and then we'll also break down conference championship matchups because they're going on all week. It's spring break for a lot of people, so be watching that. And coming up soon, we're going to have our March Madness tournament game coming in. We're going to be having a little contest amongst the listeners. Expect a big prize. And the best part about it, y'all, it's going to be absolutely free. No pay-in required. All you're going to need to do is just sign up for whichever one we pick. We still haven't picked a tournament website to do our game on, but you're going to have a chance at a pretty hefty prize. So stay tuned. And along with that, we're going to be releasing video content soon. Be expecting possibly a Sunday selection show live reaction between Tommy and myself, and maybe a special guest. We'll try to get something cooking there. And then when the tournament starts, y'all, we pledge to give y'all a recap of every single day of the tournament, including the first 4. So be expecting a lot of content coming. Along with that, if you look at the link tree, you see that YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud are on there. And I also added Joe Lenardi's bracket. So that's very important because if y'all want to listen to us and kind of see what we're talking about, like looking at that bracket can really help you make your experience better listening to us. But that wraps things up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy a big weekend of basketball. Peace.
This has been The Bracketologist, presented by Anchor. We'll see you guys next time.